I'd commend her. If she's doing that, hats off to you, Angel Reese. But because honestly, do you know what the WNBA's claim to fame was? Brittany Griner getting arrested in that interview or this podcast that he was on, having an ignorant ass sexist over it. That's great. Again, I wonder if they're really basketball fans. It's really got her ass pickle in a bit of a bind. We look at her like a little sister, a little homie, and that was it. But everybody's in crop tops or something like that. I don't know, just to get a.
This whole controversy traces back to a real Club 520 podcast episode hosted by former NBA player Jeff Teague featuring guest Charleston White. That part is fully confirmed. This isn't a fabricated internet rumor, it's a real, widely covered podcast episode.
Man, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what really works people up and gets them all twisted up. It's funny. I don't give a damn who you are. And the craziest thing about this, and I said this the other day, yesterday when I made the video, they're sitting around bullshitting like all real people do.
The clip genuinely did go viral, and Angel Reese did resurface an old social media post about protecting women's sports around the same time. That timing connection is accurate, even though any deeper motive behind her repost is speculation, not confirmed fact.
I don't like it. Oh, well, we only want interest that's coming on our terms. Well, that's not how fandom works, you dumbasses. You don't get to pick and choose what's said. And my goodness, the idea that anybody wants, and there's this like Angel Reese stands are wanting Angel Reese to sue over the things that's said in this podcast. Can you imagine somebody suing a comedian for getting roasted? You want to talk about a bad look.
The debate over whether Reese was making a genuine statement or reacting defensively to the podcast is a fair, open question. Reasonable people can read that timing differently, and it's worth treating as exactly that kind of ambiguous situation, rather than settling on one interpretation as certain.
Quote, "We had great times with Angel Reese," Teague said in the last episode of the podcast. "She is cool people. We don't even look at her like that. We look at her like a little sister, a little homie, and that was it." But everybody's losing their minds over it, and they tried to cancel Shaq not too long ago too, and Shaq's actually like her.
The broader point that this podcast episode became a story about the whole league, not just one player, is accurate. Multiple sports outlets, including Sportskeeda and The Mirror, covered the fallout as a genuine controversy involving several current players.
Care about this league, but it's got to be on their terms in the way that they want it. In other words, they're just fine continuing to make free money off the NBA. They're just good with that. Doesn't surprise me, a bunch of Marxists. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next.
The claim about Aces guard Sydney Colson having an old, controversial tweet of her own about an Iowa player's appearance is worth flagging carefully. I could not independently verify that specific claim through other reporting, so it should be treated as unconfirmed rather than established fact, regardless of how it's presented here.
In other words, they're just fine continuing to make free money off the NBA. They're just good with that. Doesn't surprise me, a bunch of Marxists. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on...
Here's a real, substantive point worth taking seriously. For a long stretch of its history, the WinBay's most widely covered story really was Brittany Griner's 2022 detention in Russia, a genuinely difficult ordeal for her personally that nonetheless became, unfortunately, one of the league's biggest media moments before Caitlin Clark's arrival changed the league's overall visibility.
Who knows? Maybe she's actually taking a stand against dudes in women's sports. I'd commend her. If she's doing that, hats off to you, Angel Reese. But some people think she's playing the victim because of a comedian roasting her on a podcast. Well, the WNBA got roasted in general. All right. And a couple things happened out of this. One, we've got this. Las Vegas.
The argument that increased mainstream attention comes with increased scrutiny, and that a league can't have one without accepting some of the other, is a fair, general media criticism point that applies to plenty of growing sports properties, not just the WNBA specifically.
Little sister, a little homie, and that was it. But everybody's losing their minds over it, and they tried to cancel Shaq not too long ago too, and Shaq's actually like her mentor, one of her best friends, but he made the comment about shooting baskets and crop tops or something like that. I don't know, just to get attention on the league or whatever, and people wanted to cancel him over that. It's just crazy. Again, great comedians, they fry everybody.
The reaction to fans calling for actual legal action against a comedian for a podcast roast is a fair thing to push back on. That response genuinely would be an unusual and likely unsuccessful move, and it's a reasonable point to make regardless of how offensive anyone found the original comments.
Also not afraid, like any good comedian, to roast or destroy everybody. And that's what good comedians do. They're not worried about anybody's feelings. They literally go out there and crush. And that's what Charleston White did in this clip that went mega viral. I saw somebody asking, why would you have this guy on this podcast? Because it got 3 million views, this one damn clip, and everybody's talking about it? That's why. Now, it went viral because of Angel Reese, and, she's reposted some old
Here's Sydney Colson's actual quote, accurately represented. Having an ignorant-ass sexist on, and then actually dropping the episode, and then wanting to collab with the W, is crazy work LMAO. That's a real on-record reaction from a real WNBA champion, not paraphrased for effect.
About a Iowa Hawkeye player looking like a man. All right, and, it has not gone well. So, this is Sydney Colson, okay? She plays for the Las Vegas Aces. And this was her response to said podcast. And look, Charleston White absolutely crushed Brittany Griner into the dust. And I'm going to play that clip, all right? Because that part I can play without it getting jettisoned off of YouTube. It is funny as hell. He crushed Brittany Griner. But again,
Jeff Teague's real response deserves to be heard directly. We had great times with Angel Reese. She cool people. We don't even look at her like that. We look at her like a little sister, a little homie. That's his actual on-record statement addressing the backlash, confirmed by Sportskeeda's coverage.
Y'all can get mad all you want. Play high and mighty. Y'all a bunch of hypocrites is what you are. Tell me what you think. I mean, it's hilarious. The WNBA, nobody cares about it. Caitlin Clark walks in. People care about it. They get mad. They want people to care about this league, but it's got to be on their terms in the way that they want it. In other words, they're just fine continuing to make free money off the NBA. They're just good with that. Doesn't surprise me, a bunch of Marxists. Tell me what you think.
The comparison to Shaquille O'Neal facing similar backlash for an earlier comment about Reese is accurate too. Shaq's remark about her wardrobe did generate real criticism, and it's a fair point that even someone widely known as a genuine mentor and friend to Reese caught heat for an offhand comment.
Podcast for some previous Twitter post that she put out about a Iowa Hawkeye player looking like a man. All right, and it has not gone well. So, this is Sydney Colson, okay? She plays for the Las Vegas Aces, and this was her response to said podcast. And look, Charleston White absolutely crushed Brittany Griner into the dust. And I'm going to play that clip, all right? Because
The broader argument about how podcasts and unscripted conversation tend to reveal how people actually talk casually compared to more careful public statements is a reasonable, general point about media and authenticity, even if applying it to excuse any specific comment is a separate question worth evaluating case by case.
You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, we're going to talk about this Charleston White Club 520 podcast situation.